Sustainable Japan, sustainable short takes and updates. And today we have a special episode where we are talking about our amazing Women to Inspire a Sustainable Japan event on May 14th. I'm JJWalsh, a I can't even say that word, sustainability focused consultant for tourism industry in Hiroshima, Japan, and joined by...
Hi, I'm Tove Kinooka, and I'm a sustainability consultant, just managed to say it this time, focused on sort of large companies, mainly based in Tokyo, based in Yokohama, just outside Tokyo.
Yeah, and we actually had a chance to meet in person last week after the event, which was so fun. We've been planning this whole event, doing everything online. And that is our new virtual reality, but it was nice to meet you in person, Tova, after all this.
No, it was great. I think there's nothing quite like meeting the real 3D version of the person to really connect. So that was wonderful.
Yeah, but it's amazing. And I felt the same. I've met a bunch of people recently at the Kominka Summit, at the Japan Times event, at the Fukuoka event, who I've interviewed online, but never met in person. And meeting them in person, you already coming at a place where you already feel like you know them.
Yeah.
And the same with you. That was so lovely.
Yes. Yeah. And I think a lot of people commented that about the events themselves, that it was just so wonderful to be in a room with real people again. And the quality of conversation and connection in that setting was just so different. It's amazing.
Yeah, wonderful. So let's go through a little bit about the event. I'm starting to put up video clips of the event for people who bought tickets and supported the event. We also collected some money supporting Second Harvest in Japan. Do you want to give a little overview of Second Harvest?
So Second Harvest are an NPO based in Tokyo, and they work with companies to get the food that's going to go to waste. So from businesses, hotels, restaurants, shops, etc., that's coming to the end of its shelf life, it's going to be thrown out. They collect that, and then they redistribute it to people who are struggling to buy their own food. So they're helping with food loss, but they're also helping with food insecurity. So it's a really, really important service that they're providing, and anything we can do to support them is, a really wonderful thing.
Yeah, fantastic organization. And I think the fact that they're addressing the social impact part of food loss and food insecurity, as well as the environmental impacts of food loss, waste of food in Japan, that's double. That's what we're trying to do with the event as well, talking about the people and the planet and the profit side, right?
Exactly. All these things are so closely interlinked. So it's wonderful to see the work that they're doing, and a privilege to be able to support it. And if you are based in Tokyo, they're always looking for volunteers to go and help. So do reach out to them.
Yeah, I'll put the link in the chat here. And it's wonderful news that I have reached out to the organization, and I will be talking to the founder, Charles McJilton, on the 8th of June. So stay tuned for that talk. Should be a good one to find out more about this amazing work that they're doing.
Brilliant. No, that will be good. Do listen in.
Yeah. Tove, you had a great introduction at the start of the event. We were having some technical issues. I wasn't sure if people could hear me from Hiroshima, or you were having some echo issues. But what you ended up saying about the event, and being an event that we wanted to put women at the forefront. We wanted to put women leaders with things to say in the spotlight. And I think that is still such a rare kind of event in Japan, don't you think?
It really is. And particularly when it's not focused specifically on sort of gender issues. So we were focused on sustainability the entire day. Nothing in the agenda really, or only a very small part, was looking at, the sort of specifically at gender equality or anything like that. We were talking about real work that's being done on environmental issues, on different areas of social sustainability. And it just happened that we had an amazing lineup of female experts and speakers on that. So it was really wonderful to see that, I think.
And like you said in the beginning as well, we both know so many amazing women.
Yeah.
And we did go back and forth of whether to have a mixed panel, even Stephen. But to counterbalance the many events which are only men, we thought we'd try to do an only women event. But we were so happy to have some men who were participants in our events as well.
Absolutely. So on the Tokyo side, we had one male speaker in the end, James Hollow, CEO of Fabric, who was brilliant. And yeah, we do need to have, an inclusive conversation here. And you can see James in the front, just to the right of Angela, who's in the blue there. But it was just so powerful, I think, to have all these awesome women not there because they were a woman, but because they're actually just brilliant practitioners or experts in their particular fields of sustainability. That was a very powerful thing to see. The atmosphere, I think, was very different to a lot of the male-dominated events I've been to. It was really open. People were not hesitating to talk out. People were getting very, very practical. There was nothing taboo. It was really inspiring to see how deep people were prepared to go and how open and vulnerable they were prepared to be, and then really practical, helping each other find ideas for next steps and so on.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also had Mo-san, who was amazing, helping with the technicals. And we had a local tour guide who helped train me to get some background on the area. And then I did the sustainable focus tour as a part of our event. But he was there in support during the tour. So it was nice to have the male support as well. But one thing that Mo said, who was doing the technical side for us, and so important, thank you so much, Mo. He was saying he's been to so many events and he never sees, or he rarely sees, women speaking out, women sharing their ideas, sharing their questions. So even from his perspective, he could see the value of doing this kind of event.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of the feedback before we talk about the different parts?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've had several emails from people who were there, and I think there are a couple of quotes we've got ready we can share, but people feeling, I think, coming away feeling really inspired, motivated to put sustainability action into their daily lives, into work. I think, it's such a huge topic, right? And it can be so daunting. Like, where do you even start? And particularly if you're not in a sustainability role officially in whatever organization you're working in, is it your responsibility? Can you do anything? Do you have the power to do that? So the second workshop we did in Tokyo in the afternoon was looking at exactly that. And it was incredible what people were coming up with. Actually, we started looking at kind of your spheres of influence, which is a tool that we use in our client work, and starting with that circle of control, like looking at what can you do, you personally, when you go back to work next week, what changes can you make in your own behavior that will be helpful, and then perhaps start to engage and influence others as well, sort of your next level of sort of influence. And people were really coming up with very practical solutions. And a lot of people afterwards sort of came up and said to me, or have commented when I've seen them since, that, I didn't think I could do anything, and now I know I can. And they were all sharing ideas with each other. And we had people from every kind of industry you can think of. We had big corporates, we had people who work in SMEs, in startups, in grassroots NPOs, just coming and saying, no, now I know what I can do. I'm going to go back on Monday and I'm going to change this, or I'm going to do that. And that, I think, was really empowering.
Yeah, that was wonderful. I heard that maybe from you or from James. People were saying, okay, on Monday, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? Wow. Like, it was actionable. what
Yes.
people were learning. It wasn't just going to a conference and filing it somewhere back there and never acting on it. And I really felt that from our participants in Hiroshima as well.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, how can I actually activate this in my life, in my work, in my travel?
Yes.
That was awesome.
No, and that's what's important, right? Because you can go and listen to the experts, but they're the minority, right? And then the rest of the people, if they don't know how they can apply this in their own lives, we're still not going to get things shifting as quickly as they need to. So if we can show people this is an action you can take, and that will in turn influence others and build momentum, then we start to move things.
Absolutely.
So that's when it gets really interesting.
Yeah, great comment from Azizi-san on LinkedIn. Thanks, Azizi-san. I think that when people gather for reasons other than aggrandized, I can't even say that word.
Aggrandizement. It's a difficult word, isn't it? Too many letters.
You'll have a real positive energy. And I think,
yes.
It was a wonderful location. You had a wonderful venue in central Tokyo. We had an amazing venue in Mitarai, very remote historical town, very different kind of focus. Like you had a lot of corporate people talking about how businesses are going to put it into action, as well as consumer input. How do the consumers see these kind of policies, and what do consumers want? So that's an interesting dynamic too, right?
It is a very interesting dynamic. And I think, a couple of comments on that. I think one thing that worked really, really well was the combination of having the sort of the expert panels like this in the morning. But then all of those speakers stayed the entire day and got stuck into the conversations and the discussions as equals. They weren't coming in, just back to Azizi's point there, they weren't coming in and saying, well, we're the speakers, and you're the audience down there, listen to us experts. They were there in the thick of the discussions, listening, learning as well. So it was two-way learning all day. It was really, really wonderful to see that happening. And also the format, like you say, of having maybe the industry people getting then feedback and the input from their consumers and saying, well, actually, when we're thinking about buying your products or your service, these are the challenges that are going through our heads. Here's what might make us hesitate. Here's what might make us change our buying decision. And that's really, really important for the companies to hear. You can do your marketing surveys, but how often do you get the chance to sit down face to face with people and go, actually, right, tell us what we can do differently. Tell us what we can do better. What are you struggling with? And what ideas do you have for improving this? Can we co-create some new way forward? That is so powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did a feedback form and got some great insights from people. People saying so important to get the energy and inspiration from others, especially women, and to celebrate each other's work. Fantastic selection and array of speakers. I learned so much, was so inspired. I think the exact same event could be held in different attendees would love it as much. So it was so interesting to read and to hear how inspired people were and how much they felt connected to so many other people. It wasn't like those are just the experts, the separated from us. They felt really connected to what the speakers were talking about. And like you said, that was really magic. I've never seen that at other events recently, not for a while.
No, certainly not for a long time. And not that sort of, I think because it was all day as well, people really had multiple opportunities to talk to each other and to have sort of deep conversations. It wasn't 5 minutes at the end of a presentation or something like that before you get shoved out the door and off you go. So I think there were real quality connections made. And I know several people I've spoken to who said, oh, yes, I've reached out to this person and we're going to meet and talk and they're going to invite them to my company or something as a speaker. And I think, yeah, that's fantastic. That's what we want to see happening. Because Angela, our keynote speaker, made this wonderful point at the beginning. She's like, every single one of us, our actions matter, because we in our lifetime, for example, will know 1,000 people. And then each of those 1,000 people will know 1,000 people. When you start thinking like that, those numbers are huge, right? So if you can start connecting and saying, right, okay, well, this person, let's get together and reach a whole new sort of range of people, whether that's through a presentation or some kind of event or whatever, then suddenly the scale of the impact you can have is vastly different to just doing your actions by yourself, even though that's important too, but you can really scale it in this way.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of scale and future endeavors, so we did this first event together at the same time in different locations. But what we're thinking going forward is we might have different dates, different times, and even expand way outside of where we are. We really hope that this starts a movement and maybe have chapters of empowering women, inspiring us all around Japan. Wouldn't that be great?
That would be so wonderful to see. And I think there really is scope to do that, right? We tried out the format. We weren't sure whether it would work. We were pretty ambitious, and it did. It really worked. I think, there's so much scope to do this in other places as well. There are so many amazing people around Japan. You probably interviewed half of them already. But, there are people out there who can inspire and influence everywhere. And if we can help people connect with each other and move that forward, then yes, it really can become a movement. And I think that's a very, very exciting prospect.
Yeah. And one other thing I think we did on purpose, but I would love to see more for sustainability events like this, is we try to show in our doing of the event how you can also put sustainability into action.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about your food and drink?
Yeah, absolutely. So from the outset, we decided that the catering would all be vegan. Just to show people who maybe don't already follow a vegan diet that these are options, and it's really good food actually. I'm not vegan all the time. I sometimes eat vegan. I'm mostly vegetarian. I occasionally still eat sort of fish or something, but I think a lot of people hesitate to take that step, right? It's kind of funny. They don't know quite where to go with it. So we thought, fine, let's just go with vegan. We used a local small business called Falafel Brothers based in Roppongi. And they gave us, as you can see, 4 different types of food there, but all completely vegan. And we said to them, as far as possible, plastic-free packaging, please. And it was just an easy request to make. They were happy to comply with that. It was all sort of cardboard. I think there was a slight bit of plastic wrap on the sandwiches to keep them fresh. That was it. Everything else, all the cutlery, everything was all paper. And then for drinks, we just said to people, please, this is a sustainability event. Please bring your own cup. We'll have coffee and tea and water available, from large coolers and machines, but please bring your own cup. People did. Easy, problem solved. No single-use cups anywhere.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And it seems, now that we've done it, it seems like something other event organizers might be able to try. Yeah. I went to an event the other day and the whole focus was on sustainability, but when they had snacks and drinks, it was all single use. And I was asking some people and they're like, they didn't make a connection between the topic of the event and what they're doing with snacks and drinks.
Right.
But what we really tried to do, Tove and I, is every part of the event is showing how it is possible. It is high quality. It is of value.
Yes.
Better value than making waste. And then you have a lot less waste to deal with. So I hope even that action, which we didn't really talk about too much during the event, but I hope people notice that it was different and it was purposeful, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if more and more people organizing events, whether that's just inside, your own organization or public ones like we did, if they can just start to make those requests when they are, working with the event organizers or the caterers or whatever, then the more people are asking for that, the more, it will become available.
Yeah.
So I think
I
it's
think
definitely a shift
that
we want to.
asking part is
Yes.
the key, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have these beautiful reusable party family bentos stacked. I forgot what they're called in Japanese, but I collect them because I think they're so beautiful whenever I see them at antique markets. So I washed it very carefully, of course, but I took it to the place local place that made our vegan koroke. And I said, would you be able to use my containers? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. No problem. And then we had a local town scone and tea shop. And I asked him as well, would you be able to just give us all the scones in a reusable container? And when I went to pick it up, he had wrapped them so beautifully in fudoshiki for us.
Nice.
He had these beautiful little teapots that we reused. We had reusable cups and glasses. And I think it enhances the experience as well.
Yeah.
Compare drinking from a glass, drinking from a paper cup you can't compare that, right? It's so much better.
Yeah, exactly. We've got so stuck on the convenience, I think, of things that we've forgotten that actually there are better options, there are other options, and it gives you a better experience at the end of the day. Yeah, like you say, a glass cup versus a paper cup is very different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And in Hiroshima, we also have a local artist who made some of our gifts that we gave people who came. And so we gave chopsticks and tea, like a cooler koozie, because most of the drinks I had from the cooler were in cans. So to keep their cans. So I tried to, even for the small gifts, tried to make it very practical, tried to make it things that are reusable, that they can take on and continue using, hopefully.
Yes. Yeah, we had the same theme in Tokyo with the gifts we gave to speakers there, which were a little can of farm canning sauce, which is made with kind of the mottainai yasai, the ugly veg that the shops won't take, and they buy that from the local organic farmers and use it to make these wonderful sauces. And then some chocolate from the Choco Labo, which is a social what do you call it? Social business based in Yokohama that works with disabled people to make this beautiful fair trade chocolate. So ethically sourced, environmentally very sound, and it's really great for the community as well. So we were again sending messages with what we were providing there as well.
Yeah, wonderful. So going forward, I think we've talked a bit about the venues. We've talked a bit about the speakers and what we tried to do as organizers. Going forward, we're thinking of trying another event in Hiroshima, in Onomichi, in July. So I'm just putting that target out there. I'm now searching for speakers and a venue, hopefully participants as well. Onomichi is a fabulous historical place and a lot easier to get to than Mitarai. I was so happy to support Mitarai. It's a really interesting rural town, but it's very hard to get to. Onomichi is connected to Shinkansen and train lines and buses. And it's connected to the Shimanami Kaido cycling route. So you can even cycle there if you'd like to.
That sounds good.
And then you're thinking of a future event in September. Is that right, Tove?
Yeah. So because of sort of other work going on with clients, it's a little bit difficult to do anything sooner than that. But we are thinking perhaps in sort of late September, doing something focused on a specific industry. So either food industry or fashion, apparel will probably be the focus of it. And the idea will be to bring together consumers and industry so that the voices have been heard either side, and to sort of similar format to what we did at the event on the 14th of May, but to make it much more industry specific, therefore really, really practical takeaways for both sides. So very, very just sort of nascent stages of planning at the moment, but more to come on that.
Yeah, exciting. And I think because the women that I see doing the most interesting projects in the Hiroshima area are in the rural areas, and rural revival is such a big issue, especially for, you're in the big city, we're much more rural where we are. So I think for this year, we will focus on being in less city center, more rural destinations, and have this component with tourism.
Yeah.
As sustainable tourism, as a way to talk about improving your business brand, improving your destination brand to be more sustainable, because it appeals to international visitors and international residents who we know are thinking about sustainability a little bit more than the average local consumer in Japan. I know one of the facilitators on your side, James Hollow, has done some wonderful research in that area. And the comparisons with people in other countries and Japan, it is really a big gap. So when you do connect sustainability in action to tourism, it seems to have more relevance in many ways for businesses and destination managers.
Well, I think that relevance point is the key, right? Because Angela Ortiz in her keynote presentation was saying that, nobody listens to what you have to say until it matters to their lives. And I think that was such a powerful takeaway for everyone, that you can have the best logic ever that makes perfect sense for you. You go out there, you're telling your story, you're, being the change champion, but nobody's listening until it makes sense to them in their context, in their lives. And that's exactly like you're saying there. These small local businesses, they've been doing things the same way for years, or the hotels, or the restaurants. And why would they change unless it actually makes sense for them as a business, and it's going to impact how they're perceived by their potential customers? Then suddenly that's relevant, that matters. So I think if we can find those sort of leverage points, and Angela was talking about sort of trying to identify what is the story in their heads going on, and tapping into that, and understanding for them what are their concerns, their pressures, and presenting this, what it is you have to say. Here's something that will help you with that. Then all of a sudden, I think people are a lot more open to listening.
Yeah, absolutely. And our last discussion activity at the end in the groups, I asked them to write keywords and share their keywords, and I expected a lot of the same keywords to come up. And it was so interesting to see so many keywords. But one of the more common keywords was connection. And making connections to other people, making connections to what's possible, making connections to your own action in work and life. So I thought that was really great. Any final takeaways from the feedback or the discussion sessions on your side?
For ours, we can see there, we did a sort of graffiti board takeaway. We had 6 of these boards, double-sided. People were just going around putting what they were thinking about and building on each other's ideas. And you can see things like educate going up. And then somebody had said, maybe it's on another board, not here, but share what you know and ask what you don't know. So not being afraid to say, actually, I don't know about how to do this, or, is it composting, or where can I get this, or how do I do that? Go and ask. Don't be shy or afraid to do that. And another keyword that came up was collaboration between multiple stakeholders. So whether that's companies working with consumer groups and NPOs and other areas, educational facilities, for example, influence and impact, kind of really connecting different stakeholders to learn from each other.
And I think we had that similar topics and takeaways from our group in Hiroshima too. I need to communicate about what work I'm doing and find my people, like finding your tribe, connecting with others, supporting others. These are all great lessons. I'm so happy. This was such a success. Yay.
Yes, no, it was brilliant. Really wonderful day. Came away with such a buzz. Really excited to see where this goes and where we can take it. So stand by for future announcements on that, and we hope.
And for anybody who bought tickets, we are sending out links to the videos. We're starting to get them up for you as an added value. So if you missed anything on the Hiroshima side or the Tokyo side, we hope that you'll be able to watch at your leisure and take in some of these things that you may have missed.
Yeah, so we're working on that now, plus a sort of event summary for all of the different parts of the day in both venues as well.
Yeah. We have one very difficult question, I think. How difficult is it to get government, local or otherwise, involved in these events? I would say it's kind of, it is difficult on different levels, right? Like for what Tove and I are trying to do, nobody is really doing it this way yet. So even explaining why it was different or what our philosophy was, we need to invite people from government and invite people from the corporate world to come and be involved. And then hopefully they can become ambassadors for developing these events further, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, so far we haven't had the government involvement in these events, but I would really be interested to explore that going forward, particularly at the local government level. I think getting them involved, there's some good stuff going on. And if we can make them feel good about sharing that and influencing other sort of wards, districts to take action as well, that would be great. So good question. Thank you. And definitely something we'll keep in mind. And
because Tove and I are both consultants as well, if you do have an event that you would like to make more actionable sustainability models or any of the elements that we've done in our events, we would be happy to consult with you and help you develop events that fit your needs more specifically.
Absolutely. Yeah. Do reach out if you have any questions or
definitely. Well, thank you so much, Tove.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for joining, and hopefully we'll have more information soon about upcoming events, but I think we're going to keep trying to have these short talks once a week and talk about sustainability in Japan ideas. What do you think, Tove? Can we keep it up?
Once a week might be challenging, but we'll do our best. At least a couple of times a month, I think we can commit to.
Twice a month. That'll be our goal. You heard it here.
Accountability. I love it.
Thanks, Tove.
Thank you. Bye.
Have a great day.